Welcome. In this video, we will discuss the project management framework that we apply in the templates available from injara.com. Projects can be of different types, and project management techniques also vary with the type of projects. The simplified framework that we will see now applies to most common project scenarios. Let's begin by defining what a project is. A project has a specific end goal. Examples can be building a home, building a software product, fixing a broken machine. A project can be big or small, long or short, expensive or inexpensive, easy or hard. Second, a collection of tasks has to be completed in order to achieve the project goal. Each task may require a specific amount of time or effort or work, and it may incur a certain amount of cost, and it may require a specific skill. Finally, we have a collection of resources that are available to perform work on these tasks. Now, what is project management? Project management is the act of achieving the project goal by using the resources available, accounting for all the constraints imposed on the project, and handling all unexpected events along the way. And a project manager is the leader of the project. I like to think of project management function or the role of a project manager in two stages. The first is planning and the second is management. The first stage is to plan the project ahead of time and have a clear idea of the project before the actual project work begins. For example, if our project is to build a home, then we want to have a clear project plan as to how we will build before we actually start building. So the second stage will start when the project work actually begins. This is where the project manager manages the project to completion effectively and efficiently, meeting our project goal. During the planning stage, the objective of the project manager is to have answers to these questions. Can the project be completed by a date that we prefer? When exactly will it complete? How much will it cost totally for the project to be done? Will we be using our resources efficiently? And finally, who will work for how long on which task on any given day? Answering the last question will help us answer all the other questions. The answer to the last question is what we're going to call the schedule. Schedule lays out how we will complete the work needed using the resources available. So on one side, you know the work, which is referred to as tasks here, the work that needs to be done. We factor in the hours of work that are needed, any external constraints that we may have on starting a task, and dependencies between tasks, referred to as predecessors. For example, you may not be able to start a specific task before another task is complete, so there may be dependencies between the tasks. So this is on one side. On the other side, you have the resources that are capable of performing all the work, all the tasks. They have their standard working hours for every weekday. They may have additional vacation or overtime. And also company may have some holidays where work will not be performed. So on top of these two things, the project manager assigns each task to a resource based on the skill. So given all this input, a schedule can be built. It may take a few iterations to land on a schedule that is acceptable. For example, in the first iteration, it might take really long for the project to be completed. In the second iteration, the cost might be too high. So the levers that a project manager has are which resources are available, how long are they going to be available, which resource is assigned to which task, and also the scope of the tasks. So these are the levers that the project manager can play with and finally end up with a schedule that is acceptable with the project leadership team. A schedule allows us to calculate all the other relevant project metrics. Once we land on an acceptable schedule, the project manager will find the answers to all the other questions that we had before. And the project manager shares in a project report with the project sponsors to get approval. Once approved, what we have is a project plan. And let's call this the baseline plan. The baseline plan will include primarily the key dates, when the project will start and end, and what are the other milestone dates along the way, the detailed schedule as to who's going to do the work on when and how long and all that, and the cost estimates for the project, and also the resource utilization rates that we expect. So all of this will be part of the baseline plan, and it is approved by the project team, and that is the end of the planning stage. Now we will wait for the actual project work begin date to begin actual work. From the day the actual work begins, we are in the management stage. The first and most important activity here is to track the actual work performed. Only then we will know if our plan is being executed correctly. The frequency of tracking may depend on the scale of the project. It could be daily, for example. This tracking allows us to monitor the progress of the project towards our goal and also monitor if we are sticking to our baseline plan. The project manager monitors the progress using the reports and shares with the project team and sponsors regularly. The reports will clearly represent what percentage of the work has been complete and how much more needs to be done. Clear and timely communication is an important characteristic of a project manager. If actual work was performed exactly as planned, the management stage becomes very simple. The reality is that things may not go according to the baseline plan, and here are some reasons. The actual work performed is different than planned. We ended up completing less work than we had originally planned, so that will impact the rest of the project. Planned work estimate was incorrect. So the original estimates that we had for how hard or how long a task will take was an estimate. And so sometimes our estimates were not correct. The scope of the work has changed. So the original expectation on what needs to be done as part of a task has changed now. That creates a big impact on the project. The cost that we estimated or anticipated also is different in reality, and the resource availability has changed. We may have unexpected vacation days or sick days along the way for the resources in our team, and that will impact the availability of them, and in turn that will impact the timeline of the project. These factors may make our baseline plan not valid anymore. The project manager has to build a new plan to handle all these new challenges and factors. Let's call this new plan the current plan. So the current plan takes into account what work has actually been done so far and plans the rest of the project given the new inputs such as new resource availability or the estimates of work. The project manager can increase the resource availability, can reduce the scope of tasks. Even using these levers available, it may happen that the estimated project finish is later than in our baseline plan. In other words, the project will be delayed. It is to be noted that the project manager received the approval earlier for the baseline plan. And so if the current plan deviates in cost or timeline significantly from the baseline plan, then a new approval may be necessary. Now let's take a step back and summarize the two plans that we have seen so far, the baseline plan and the current plan. The baseline plan is the project plan that we got the approval for before we began the actual work. The current plan is the current project plan considering actual work performed so far and the projected remaining work. The purpose of the baseline plan is sets the benchmark for the project measurements, and it's used in comparison to identify the variances or the deviation. The current plan reflects the current best estimate of our project timeline. The baseline plan does not change after the project work actually begins, but the current plan will change and is regularly updated as actual work is performed. Let's get back to our project. Using the new current plan, the project moves forward. It's a continuous process. The current plan will be updated regularly based on actual work performed and any changes that may happen with the inputs. Our reports will continue to tell us how the current plan is progressing, comparison with the baseline, and the project manager will continue to share these reports with the sponsors and the rest of the team as necessary. It's possible that the schedule has to be updated or rebuilt a few times during the course of the project. Finally, when all the work is complete, the project manager will finalize the project report and shares with the team. So now this is the simplified project management framework. Let's do a quick recap. We have covered the following topics so far. What is a project? What is project management? What are the two stages of project management? That is planning and management. We also talked about how scheduling forms the foundation for all the calculations involved in the project measurements. And there are two types of plans, the baseline plan and the current plan, and why they both are important. In the upcoming videos, we will go further in depth into specific components of project management. Please subscribe to the channel to receive future videos. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments and I'll be very glad to respond. Thank you very much for watching this video.